Tam Talks explores life, spirituality, and general weirdness through quirky storytelling and laughter, lighting you up in your life journey. Let's go! All right. This podcast episode is going to be an interesting one. So it's more kind of like ghosty things, like, encounters, I'm going to say, with the spirit side. So this one is very recent. I'm recording in October 2025. So I'm going to try to do this one without cracking. So we'll see. And if that doesn't work, well, I'm human. So my aunt, very close aunt, godmother, all that, my mom's sister, passed away on September 19th. And it was somewhat of a surprise. She had a lung condition which was being managed, and then they found a tumor and she needed surgery, obviously because it was lung cancer, to remove it. So I'm just trying to give you some backstory because she deserves that. So when she came out of the surgery, they ended up having to take like the lower part of her lung, I guess, just to get it all. And she had already chosen that she wouldn't be doing, chemo or any of that kind of like chemical treatment stuff. It would be like, let's remove that and we'll see where we are. So she ended up in the hospital for 2 months after that, which is crazy because she was a super outgoing, social, I'm going to say healthy. Like, she didn't smoke, drink, do drugs. She walked her big Newfie dog, Annie. Always, she was a cleaner. She used to clean houses. So she was only 75. Anyway, so it was really weird when she was kept, she was in the hospital and she was in the bed. Like, she'd get up and she could go to the bathroom. Excuse me. I always find it funny when this has happened a few other times when I've spoken about her. I get like a tickle in my throat and I have to cough. Interesting. So, okay. So that tells me, hey, Aunt Lori, is what I'm going to say. Okay. So I'm going to try not to cough this whole time. I've got water here. So if you hear me slurping, I apologize, but it's better than me coughing. So anyways, so she was in the hospital and had, oxygen 24/7, but had the little rolly thing so she could move it. But she just kept saying, she was like, I just can't get a deep breath. And it was quite the journey with like a chest tube and all this stuff. And, she would get that out and then a different one would have to go back. Like, it was just annoying. But she got to the point where the hospital was like, okay, well, we've got it. We need the bed. Like, she's got to get out. And everybody's just like, okay, well, she can't go back to where she was. So anyways, the temporary plan was for her to go to a retirement home until her son could move here. House was purchased in the midst of all of this, so that she would be able to eventually come and move in with my cousin and his partner. And, for whatever, there was no, of my awareness through talking to my aunt, there was no sturdy timeline or, sentence given of how long she would be on this planet. So, yeah. So basically everything was kind of up in the air. And then I think with this slower recovery, it was like, oh, wait, what's going on? So anyways, all we knew is that she could not go back to where she was living because there were stairs that she would need to climb to get up to the kitchen. And at this point, she could literally just walk to the bathroom and back, and then she'd have to recover because she was so winded. So this retirement home was like the temporary plan for about 2 months until my cousin got possession of the house, and then she could go there. So I just, remember saying to her, okay, this is like your all-inclusive vacation until you get to move into the house. And yeah, we were just like, she's like, okay, yeah, that's a good way to think about it. So, anyways, but when we moved her in, she was quite nervous because she went from a full, hospital care with nurses and doctors like right there and the call button and very to this room at the end of a hallway, which she had a call button. She could call a nurse. There was, like personal support worker coming in, but ultimately she was nervous to stay on her own, and I don't freaking blame her. So we, between her daughter, I think the other daughter stayed a couple of nights, but between the one daughter and then my mom and I, we stayed with her for, I think it was a month and a half. I'm trying to remember when she moved in there. And June, July, so then August, halfway, so about a month and a half. So we just kind of took shifts, and we would do, like 3-4 days at a time. My mom and I would swap off, and then her other daughter was free on weekends. And anyways, it just worked. And it was fun because like I would say to her, okay, I'm coming for our slumber party, girls party. So I remember bringing, like my oracle cards and some crystals. I actually think I gave her the crystals in the hospital. I was like, here's a stick of selenite and here's some amethyst. I don't work a ton with crystals, but I do respect and know the healing power of crystals. And kind of before this, like leading up to before she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Oh my gosh, I have to tell this funny story first. So I think it was in March or April of this year, just before I believe she knew, like she had the lung condition, but she didn't know about the lung cancer yet. Well, my mom had got tickets to go and see Come From Away, the theater show downtown Toronto. And so we went, and my aunt, wasn't on oxygen at this point, but obviously wasn't like full out, going to climb a mountain. So, anyways, we go to this theater production. We're driving. We left so much time. We met her at our rendezvous point, which is in, what is it called? Waterdown area. And then we headed down. Well, we hit traffic. I freaking missed the freaking turn off for one of the highways, and then we had to do this roundabout. Anyways, we were cutting it close, and like they will not let you in if you miss that time. So anyways, we we get close. It's jammed traffic downtown Toronto because everybody else is doing the same damn thing. So anyways, we get near to the theater, and I'm like, okay guys, I'm gonna park in Mervish parking, and it's just down there. Is that too far? Like, do you want me to drop you? And we're like, my aunt's like, no, we're gonna walk because we're not gonna make it. She's like, and I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, I'm fine, it's okay. And I'm like, okay, I'll catch up with you guys then. Just take your time, like don't, whatever. So I literally, they make it. I'm lined up for parking. There are people trying to butt in. I was like, oh no way. So I get parked. I'm like hustling, like running down King Street. I make it with like 3 minutes. And of course, I'm the one with the tickets on my phone. And which I had said to them, should I set? And they're like, no, you've got them. So I'm like, oh my God. I get there just in time. Well, here's the joke. We didn't, like I said, we didn't know that she had lung cancer, but we knew she had a lung condition. We go to our seats. They're in not up one floor, but two on the balcony. There was no elevator. So here we are with my aunt, who we later learned had lung cancer and interstitial lung disease. And we're hiking up stairs at this old, I think it was Massey Hall, or was it Princess of Wales? I can't remember. Gorgeous theater, but my aunt's like taking pauses, and we're like, yeah, it's cool, don't worry. And we're like, oh my God, we are so sorry. Anyway, so we get up there, she recoups, we have a splendid time, we come home, and that's one of my favorite kind of last memories with my mom and my aunt. And it was just like, oh, what is the word? The irony of it all, Anyway, so fast forward, retirement home, we're all taking shifts. So my aunt and I had some really wicked talks, and we have just a lot of great memories from the day I was born, like she was that person to me. So one of our nights when we had our sleepovers, we just got talking about stuff and life and death and all of the things, and we were pulling oracle cards, and she was blown away. So I always would do Reiki as well. So anytime she would come to visit, anytime I would see her, I would send her Reiki virtually, and she loved it. Like when she'd stay here, she'd be like, "Okay, yeah, maybe I could do some of that." She was so kind. She was so giving. Like she was not one who would ask for things. She was always the one giving things. So, my mom would be like, "Okay, well, do you want Tam to give you Reiki?" And she'd be like, "Well, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's not a big deal." And I'd be like, "Hey, it's okay if you don't want it. Like say that, but if you want it." She's like, "No, no, I want it." I'm like, "Okay, awesome. I'll come down at whatever time and do Reiki." So she loved it. It really relaxed her. It was fantastic. So I did a lot of that when I stayed with her. We pulled cards. Oh, it was just cool. Like we watched movies. We watched Sister Act together because my mom messaged and said, "Hey, you too, Sister Act is on." And that's like from my younger, like teen years, all of us would watch it together. So, anyways, just to give a little bit of that history. So, sitting with my aunt, one of those nights, we pulled cards and she was blown away by the messages from the cards and just how appropriate it was for that time, for that moment, for the answers that she was seeking. And yeah, so we had spoken and she had started to say about how, she wants as like the last words, which one would assume would be at a celebration of life, her last words to be passed along to certain people. And she started talking while I quickly grabbed my phone and hit record because I just had a feeling and I thought, I don't know, just in case. So she only listed a few, but one of them was she wanted to say, to my mom, because my mom hated being tapped on the shoulder. And my aunt used to terrorize her by doing that. So she's like, for example, your mom. And she said, I wonder if I can insert her audio into this podcast. I don't know if that's too weird. But, anyways, I'll ponder that. Anyway, so basically, to paraphrase, she said, I want your mom to know that, when I'm gone, if she feels that tap on the shoulder, that's me. I'm still there. And, when people look out and see Annie, her Newfie dog, playing with Bogey, that she hopes they will think of her. And June, her friend, when she sees a hummingbird, which she loves, she wants her to connect that with my aunt visiting, saying hi. So that was pretty much it. Like we just had that convo back and forth. And I had asked for clarity because near the end of it, I was like, okay, well, like, do you want to write this down? Like, what's your idea? And that's when she said, no, like to be included in my last words. So I said, okay, well, and she's like, I just don't know if I can do that. And then her was so funny. She's like, or I just don't know if people will think it's too sick. And I'm like, whatever. And she's like, but the people who will get it will get it. And I'm like, absolutely, they will. So I stopped recording. We kept kind of chatting. And I said to her, I'm like, okay, I want to pick a lotus flower for mine. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, I'm like, I don't often see a lotus flower. So I thought it's not like that grows here or anything. So I wanted something obscure, like something that I would know. There was no doubt that my aunt was contacting me. And of course, all of this, like, we're having this conversation. And again, like, there's no imminent date that, and I don't know, obviously I do know why we had the conversation because we were meant to, and I'm that type of person that she knew she could have that conversation with. We just didn't expect that, within the month basically that she would go cross. So anyways, oh yeah, I forgot. So the point of this podcast episode is that so the night that my other aunt and uncle and my mom went to see her, my other aunt was like, like you guys need to come and see her and basically say goodbye. And I'm like, what? Okay. Cause she was in like great recovery when we had left her, but it just, yeah, I guess, I don't know. But I do kind of have an idea of what may have gone on, but doesn't matter. What matters is that we got to go and say goodbye. This part I'm not going to talk too much about because I know I will break down. But basically, when I saw her, she asked me, she was like, Tam, what was your sign? What did you pick again? And I was like, the lotus. And she was fully lucid in these moments. We had a beautiful interaction and listened to Somewhere Over the Rainbow because her son had asked me as he was trying to get here, in like a 6-hour drive. And anyways, so we just had a wonderful interaction. She asked me twice. She was like, okay, what's your symbol again? And I'm like, a lotus. She's like, okay, got it. So anyways, she passed within hours of us seeing her. Her son made it and his partner to see her and say goodbye. There were a few awesome family members who did not make it to see her, but obviously sent their love, and I know she would have felt them. And they were able to see her before that. So most of the family was able to actually go and see her. Short visits, which I'm not going to get into too much either. But the point of this podcast is that the interactions after, if you haven't listened to my other stuff, or if you're a person who's kind of like, I don't know if I believe all this stuff, you need to listen to this one. And I mean, we're already 16 minutes in or whatever, and I'm only getting here. But so she passed early or in the night between Thursday and Friday morning. And so we didn't find out until like 10:30 Friday morning. And yeah, so my mom and I were standing. So I think this was the first thing. You're going to hear pages flipping because I started writing it down because it was actually ridiculous how much was happening. So, oh yeah, and I did the meditation. I did a connect with your spirit guide meditate. Oh my God. Okay, I forgot about that. All right. So I don't know if I did I wrote the meditation first. So maybe I did that first. Oh my God, I did. Okay. So I did this meditation the morning so she had already passed. So I did this meditation at 7:15 a.m. and we didn't hear until 3 hours later. So I had messaged my cousin and he was like, I haven't heard, I'm on my way over. So I did this meditation thinking that my aunt had not passed yet. So this meditation is to connect with your spirit guide. And so I'm thinking just like another random, I'm going to connect with whoever. Well, as soon as you're in this forest and you're walking, well, I can see the back of my aunt walking through the forest. And it's not even like the prompt hadn't even hit yet where it's like, oh, and then you see your spirit guide. No, hadn't even. So I already see her walking over, like in kind of weaving between the trees. And she's like looking back, like she's turned back looking at me and she's like waving me like, come on, hurry up. And I'm like, and again, they haven't even prompted yet. I'm like, okay, I'm walking through this forest. Like, hold on. So anyways, the prompt is to like, you come into this clearing. Anyway, so as soon as I hit the clearing, her face is right in front of mine and grabs me like this big hug. And she was like glowing in health. Like her hair was a little bit longer. She had her slacks. We always make fun of my mom and her for saying slacks, and a top. And she had she just looked like peak. She looked at her highest. She looked amazing. And then it swapped out to her wearing her white knitted sweater that my mom got her for Christmas that we chose together at Winners. Anyway, so throughout this interaction, she's like telling me, I'm going to guard your boys. So she's basically declaring herself as a guardian angel, and she's going to help me to be like ridiculously wealthy in business, which I laughed. I was like, amazing, let's do it. And yeah, there was so much where it was like, she loves and cherishes me so much. And like, we just kept holding each other. And I said, I miss her already. And again, I technically didn't know she was gone. And so at the end, there's the prompt where it's like, okay, and they can give you something. So of course, what does she hand me? A lotus. So as she walked away, it was nuts because it wasn't Like, so all of our past pets and hers, like all of the dogs, started appearing. It was nuts. And I've written them down and I've listed them, but I'm not going to list them because I'll start crying, and I'm holding it together really well. So they all started appearing. And then all of these members of our family who have also passed were all appearing, but they're all walking together, and they all just kept looking back at me and smiling. And I'm like, amazing. I'm like, hey guys, I'm like, have fun, like, because it's about half of our family, it feels like. So, okay, so that was my meditation again before we heard or knew anything. So in that time, we received the news. I came home, told the boys, and I had told my mom, like, we got a text. So I called my mom immediately and said, okay, a text came through. I'm on my way back. I was just out at the community garden. So anyways, now the next day, thanks for hanging out and listening to my wild and wacky Tam Talks. Follow Tam Talks to be notified of new episodes. Peace out.